Did this janitor just capture a balloon stalking him, and then a shadow run by the window? Or does this video have more tricks than a senior prank? Let's go ahead and have a closer look, as I am not completely convinced that what's going on in this video is paranormal. I want to give a huge shout out to my friend Brian Bohall for recommending this video. We wanted to have it as part of the podcast that I was a part of, but unfortunately we had some technical difficulties, so when that podcast comes out, guys, I'll be sure to let you know. Wow, I feel like I haven't said these words forever, but I'm ready. So let's start the breakdown. This is just a list of the enhancements that I made for clarity. And just like in most of my cases, the enhancements made a world of difference of what I can see. At first, this video appears normal. Janitor goes into a classroom, you got a group of balloons, and then he pans over and you see there's two little stragglers. It's the red balloon that we're going to focus on here. Why does it always have to be a red balloon? Is that an It reference? So first things first, and I feel like this is going to be one of the most important things to point out, it's obvious that these balloons are filled with helium, and anyone out there who has ever bought a helium balloon is going to know that these things come with what they call anchors and or balloon weights. I feel like this is very key to what we're seeing in this video, and I'll explain why in just a second. And this is just a little bit of information for anyone that does not know what a balloon weight is. Now, they will not always look like the ones pictured above. They come in various shapes and various sizes. Their main goal is to just hold the balloon to the ground so it doesn't float away. And I just realized I forgot to tell you guys to go back and watch the whole original video, as there was much more going on there than what I could show you in that short stitch time frame. And a lot of that is going to come into play for what I show you. So even if you don't watch it beforehand, watch it afterwards. As the janitor backs out into the hallway slowly, it almost appears as though the balloon is stalking him and it follows him into the hallway. But is that really what's going on here? So the first thing I want to talk about is the red balloon, okay? That is what we call a distraction point in the video. And I call it a distraction point because it's simply there to make you lose focus on what's going on in the rest of the frame. You're going to pay more attention to that red balloon floating around than what you're going to pay attention to the surroundings of the balloon. So what I want to point out is how the balloon comes out of the doorway and it kind of sways forward and then goes back. This is indicative of someone moving the balloon from the bottom. Why? Because if you're moving it from the weight on the bottom, as soon as you stop, you're going to have that forward motion of the helium balloon. It's the law of inertia. It's not going to stop moving. You know what they say, an object at rest remains at rest, an object in motion remains in motion. As soon as that bottom weight comes to rest, the top balloon will stay in motion. This could very easily be done with a monofilament fishing line, considering the fact that he doesn't really show the base of the balloon at all in the video besides the one frame that I showed you as an example earlier. Now when you go back and watch the original video, be sure to pay attention because you're going to see that same exact motion every time the balloon stops. This hints to me that he most likely has this balloon on a string tied off at the weight and he is slowly pulling it out of the room as he moves. And now we're going to discuss the shadow that goes by the window in the background. If you watched the original video already or you haven't yet and are going to watch it after you watch this, you will notice that that shadow does seem to move extremely quickly. Now, a quick moving shadow will be typical of what we call shadow people in the paranormal field. However, I'm not buying that in this particular standpoint, and I'll tell you why now. If you notice, there's a square on the wall behind that piece of glass. This is most likely a poster, painting, or some kind of picture that the school has decided to put up. Now, it's important to note that while he was walking down the hallway originally, and also in this particular frame, you could not see that clearly. It was completely jumbled. And the reason for that being, I believe, is that a lot of schools use what they call textured privacy glass. And I know a lot of schools use this, particularly in what they call the office space. They don't want people to know who's in the office. They don't want the other students knowing who's getting in trouble, who's up there for what, blah, 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 yada, yada. They use it specifically for privacy. Now, in this particular frame, we do need to take into account that he was moving, and so therefore the picture isn't very clear. However, in the original portion when he was walking down the hallway to the classroom originally, that window was in clear shot, and you get the same exact effect, which is why I believe this is a textured privacy glass. And now I will explain why that's so important. It's important to note this figure does not just run through the frame. At about half point in the window, it actually jumps out of frame. So if this was a pre-planned hoax, we have no idea how long that hallway is on the other side of that window, right? So now we give plenty of time for someone to get a full speed run, get halfway through that window and jump, making that shadow move very quickly and appear as though it may or may not be a shadow person. So as much as seniors like to play pranks, I think this janitor pulled a prank of his own. The balloons were pre-positioned in the classroom and he had already tied a monofilament fishing line to the anchor weight. He slowly pulled the anchor weight out into the hallway. And I feel that from the way that the balloon was moving, and once it was a clear shot of the window, he had somebody pre-stationed to run and jump through that window, appearing as though it was a shadow person. If you ask me, this is a well planned out hoax. However, guys, as always, that's just my opinion. Cheers.